looks like Max is on some, I don't know what to call that list. It's got Breakout, it's got Teamer Ascendancy.
Oh, okay, so I've seen this type of list before. This is a zoo style list with Territorial Kavu and the Leyline and the Guild Pack shell.
Okay.
But it has 2 copies of Breakout and only 2 copies of Lightning Bolt, so it has a little bit of spice there.
Okay.
Neshoba Brawler, Ragavan, Scions, Stubborn Denials, Tribal Flames, all your common cards there. It is Gigantha based, and there are Charmos in the sideboard for a specific matchup. This zoo list also has 2 Teamer Ascendancy and 2 Flage.
I don't remember what Teamer Ascendancy even does. I know what Jeskai Ascendancy does.
I know I passed it in draft. But we'll find out later.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
And then Liam is on a deck that Pauper created that has wormed its way into Modern. It's Broodscale combo.
Okay, Broodscale combo is an actual interesting combination.
It is,
So Broodscale along with Blade of
the Blood Chief.
Blade of the Blood Chief, yeah.
Makes you an infinite powered guy and infinite colorless mana.
Yeah. And it's also just a 1-ring deck, so that's always good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's also like half Eldrazi deck.
Yeah.
Right. So he's playing like Thought-Knot-Seer and what's the Kozil's Command,
Right.
Malevolent Rumble, that kind of stuff to try to like dig for the combo, but also like just decent cards. Yeah, that's just sideboard. So this is a pretty neat deck. I lost it online just the other day, actually.
Yeah, if you don't know what's happening in Modern, you will be punished immediately.
Yes.
If you never know what your opponent's doing, you will always lose first.
Yeah, and it's one of those decks too where like it can just sometimes just like oops win you on like
absolutely
turn 3 even.
All right, so we start off with just a fetch land from Zoo, and then not a crack on end of turn.
No.
So most likely to me, that's a sign of a little bit of weakness. Just trying to draw as many lands as possible. It looks like you did draw one though.
Yeah.
So we have 2 fetches on the field, and then Liam started off respectively with a Delighted Halfling matching the mana. So right off the hop here, there's a assessment as to how important this Delighted Halfling is.
Yeah.
And I think we're just going to try and find out now. So
Halfling has some interesting text this matchup because like it's not like Liam's playing a bunch of legendaries who's trying to stop from being counterable, but it is a mana dork that taps for colorless.
Yes.
And it's a 1/2, so it doesn't die to like, a stiff breeze.
Right. And at the same time though, we don't know if Max is trying to analyze if his opponent doesn't know if Nadu is legal or not either, so.
You're like, wait a second, I thought it was Bird.
Like, when was the last time we've seen this
card?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the thing sometimes with like these rogue decks that play cards, pop in other strategies where it's like Max could think he's up against Yawgmoth or something.
Right.
And then play corners that be like, okay, maybe we need to like, be aggressive and, tap out for creatures, try to finish them off against the Yawgmoth mana.
Yeah.
Well, then Liam could be like, whoops, Broodscale, like combo you, right? So it's a cool deck because in the Pauper version they have to play like a shitty black creature that drains your opponent for 1 whenever a token leaves. But Liam gets to play the Glaring Fleshraker as kind of his ultimate win con.
That card has impressed me every single time I've seen it play against me. So.
It does a lot of things, and I always mix up like what does what. I'm like, okay, you cast spells and you what? It's like, well, I make a dude, and then that dude makes me drain you.
Yeah, not many 3-mana 2/2s impress me, but yeah, like that one specifically.
Right?
So Max has sort of given a little bit of information here when it comes to his shuffling. So it's sort of this is sort of like a skill in Modern that's very difficult to acquire, but it's sequencing. Mm-hmm. And he first off shocked his Steam Vents and then shocked in Temple Garden. So by shocking in that first land, by activating that first fetch land, you sort of like show that you're not using a Leyline Binding, right?
Yes.
So now, like at that point, with the Steam Vents and a Temple Garden, which is a very good start for Zoo.
Yeah.
Always 4 colors, untapped threats, but you're also giving away some level of information on the rest of your hand and the way you shock those lands and sequencing on that hand. Mm-hmm. So now that Liam has assessed that, well, he didn't use a removal spell on the Delighted Halfling. We're gonna see.
Here comes turn 2 Raker.
Comes out too. Yeah, and now his opponent is graciously letting him read this draft piece, and we'll be able to determine see if Max will use a removal spell or not that's in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
But step one, always give minimal information and I would attack. Unless you can get your 5 land types, then that's the only important piece for Kavu here.
Yeah, so like if he doesn't the land, he can fetch for the last shock here, or like a triumph.
And then it looks like he does also have access to an untapped black source, which isn't common in all zoo lists, which is Blood Crypt. His secondary black source is Xander's Lounge. So he'll probably I would most likely assume at this point you just fetch for the Blood Crypt and call it good and realize that you are playing against a combo-based deck. You may not understand everything, but Urza Saga and Galarian Fleshraker don't usually pair with Delighted Halfling.
Yeah,
so
like-
suspicions should be high.
Yeah, you're seeing this combination of cards, and you're like, I don't get how like if your read from this is, oh, the constructs ping me phone when they enter, that's fun.
Yeah.
Then you're reading the deck incorrectly. So you got to be like, what is that synergy isn't really good enough.
To me,
So
that
what
looks
is
like
Liam up
Spar's
to?
headquarters was the choice.
Yeah.
So he's foregone the black source and is going to make a decision pre-combat. So it'll be interesting to see. So Cyano Draco won't be a legal play when that situation happens, unless that I'm reading that land incorrectly. But I believe that is Spar's headquarters.
Something to try him. I don't know why.
Yeah, it is Spar's headquarters.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah, it's the Alternate Art one. I'm not as familiar with those cards.
Yeah, these are the premium ugly ones, but yes.
Premium ugly. But yeah, Kavu being a 4/4 here. Thanks for Max for using the dice for us. Illustrates that it is headquarters. He did not get a swamp out of this exchange. Just smacks Liam for 4 and calls it a day. Also very funny that Liam hasn't even touched Max yet. Yet Max is chilling at 13 life.
Yes, well, zoo
Fetch
life is zoo
shock,
life, yeah.
fetch shock again, and then fetch another time. That's that is 7 damage to your
So I'm
own
seeing
dome.
2 copies of Blade, 1 copy of Ring, and 1 copy of Springleaf Drum in Liam's hand. Doesn't look exactly combo-rific as of this moment, but he can probably develop a board state.
Yeah.
And then it seems like the other one is the Wastegate Battle Mage.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be my assessment.
This is a cute one. That's the new one from Mage Spirit. That Disenchants and Unsummons.
Yeah.
If
Exiles,
you-
I believe, on the Disenchant
Exile,
too,
yeah. The kicker. So here comes Blade, and now Liam's like, yeah, this is a colorless permanence, or a colorless non-land permanent, so I'm gonna hit you for 1 more.
Yeah.
Just by putting it into play. But yeah, if Liam drew a land there, that would have been ideal because he just like slams Ring, and from that point, I think it's pretty hard for Liam to lose. Because the Ring of course looks impressive in the top deck right now, Boros. But I'm always more scared of it in combo decks.
Yes.
Because generally, how you beat a combo deck is you kind of like interact with the combo pieces and they run out of gas and they die because they can't just draw the cards to reassemble the combo again.
Right.
But the Ring just does that. It just gives you another like 10 cards to find the combo. But also, yeah, casting all these spells, making a bunch of Scions, gets to basically drain Max for their 6 here.
Now he will cast the Ring.
Interesting.
So he sequenced everything by getting 3 Scions and then tapping one of them with the Springleaf Drum in order to cast the Ring this turn.
I didn't see that line.
Yeah.
Of like cast bunch of stuff, Springleaf Drum kind of rituals for 2 here.
Yeah, once you realize, Delighted Halfling and Urza Saga actually both make mana, not just make things uncounterable or find tutors and artifacts. It's like, it ended up adding up pretty quickly and the line ended up being pretty evident there.
But Stub.
Yeah, Stub will counter it because Ferocious has been triggered. So he has a creature power 4 or greater. So even though Liam had the 1 extra mana, it wouldn't be able to be. It's still countered.
Yeah. And that's just an unfortunate outcome of the sequencing there as well. Is that if he was able to somehow leave the Halfling up still to pay for the Ring, this wouldn't have happened.
I also believe that there was a Stub in the graveyard looted from the Kavu, so that was sort of a tell where it's like, well, he most likely doesn't have another one, right?
Like
he's
if
looking
I'm
for a removal spell, not counter magic. So that was a good assessment as well, especially based on everything else that happened. But hey,
if I'm in Liam's seat and I see Max in a Stub, you're like, what are the odds he has a second Stub? Because most of these lists are only running 2, maybe 3 Stubs, right?
This one is
he
4.
on the full 4?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, but 3 to 4 is generally common in my understanding.
Okay.
But I also haven't seen Team Ascendancy ever before in Constructed, so that'll be
So
something.
anything is possible
Yeah,
here?
anything's possible here. Yeah.
But I mean, what is funny too is that because Liam's combo or combo finisher in this case, Fleshraker is just like a pretty half decent 3-drop. I mean, Max is sitting at 6. 3 more colorless, creatures entering, and Max is dead.
Yeah.
So it would be very funny to see Liam even like burn him out with like a Kozilek's command.
Yeah. There's also, so now that we're fetching the black source, my assumption at this point is that it is Scion of Draco now. Now, that will give a huge advantage to Max on this next attack, gaining 5 life as well, because all the creatures will gain all colors.
No, he doesn't have the ley
He doesn't have
line.
ley line out. Oh, geez.
Yeah,
well, I
so
spoke too soon.
no
Yeah.
life link, but I think Kavu gets first strike and trample.
Yes.
Not the most relevant keywords.
No, those won't be relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd certainly enjoy white being part of Kavu's, or no, black I think gives lifelink. White gives flying, I think.
Blue gives...
White gives
hexproof.
vigilance.
White gives vigilance.
Yeah.
All the keywords except flying and... yeah.
Yeah, so gonna swing in. I expect a loot here. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. That land is not doing any good.
Yeah, 2 less lightning bolts and 2 more teamer ascendancies. Let's hope that didn't punish him here.
Yeah. Because, Lightning Bolt looks pretty good here, because
Yeah.
Flushraker is a pretty prime target to be blowing up.
So it seems like there's another flooded strand in
Yeah.
Max's hand, so that won't help him sequence anything.
Yeah, I think maybe he's sitting on a... There's
have one
Ragavan and Tribal Flames, I think, is his last card. So interesting that he chooses to deploy Ragavan instead of even just like Tribal Flamesing this Fleshraker. But
Now, which artifact is he going to be looking up?
he's already used Drum. Might does nothing. Is it just another sword? Another blade?
It looks like it. It seems like it's very.
All right. I mean, Liam's
lean.
looking at Haywire Might.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
lean on
it's a
its
blocker,
targets.
I
Well,
guess.
and at the same time, it will hit a ley line if it comes down.
Yeah.
A ley line of both varieties.
True.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Ley line binding or ley line of the Guild Pact. It would
It
hit
also
either.
hits Teamer Ascendancy.
Yes, Teamer Ascendancy, yeah. Yeah, I just looked that up. So creatures you control have haste.
Okay.
And then whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card.
I mean-
so it's half a Cura and it's half of a... What's that one
Like
red-green
Fires of
enchantment?
Yavimaya or something?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Yeah. Except you can't sack it to give your team +2/+2.
Yeah.
Which, hey, Sap Burst was a hero back then, but it looked like a villain in the day.
So I mean, a cute card. I see what he's doing here. Where I mean, it sure feels good when draw card is stapled to your Sign of Draco.
Oh, for sure.
But it's also 3 mana do nothing. In most cases, because I don't see a world where Max can somehow deploy another thing. Let's just turn on like 5 mana and go Ascendancy Scion, draw a card, haste, hit you for 4.
Right. Yeah, it seems like there's a little bit of tension in the list between the 2 Breakout and the 2 Teamer Ascendancy. But hey, Teamer Ascendancy with Flage sounds fantastic to me.
That is
Like,
pretty good, actually.
Yeah, so
I mean,
who needs Arena Glory when you have Teamer Ascendancy?
I've hasted Flames out of the graveyard a lot to tell you that it's very strong.
And at the same time, this card is $9 almost. Like, I don't know how that happened. So,
It's the same answer to everything else. Blame Commander players.
oh, well, yeah, we can do that all day. but,
It's got to be the Commander players doing that, because this is the first time I've seen this card registered maybe ever.
yeah. Hey, man, it only took like 10 years.
Yeah, we're back, baby.
Yeah.
Dude, we're going back to
Literally
Tarkir very
2014.
soon.
Yeah, 10 years on the dot.
10 years ago. I mean, I might draft that card.
Yeah, I did not.
Teamer
Yeah.
was the power 4 or greater,
Yeah, I took the land instead. That's for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, like,
I needed to splash more colors for my morph creatures.
Yeah, pay one life, get a land. That seems
Yeah.
pretty good.
Man, this Kavu has gone unanswered. This
Just-
guy,
yeah?
He's just. I think this Kavu has like essentially drawn max 4 cards here.
Yeah, so yeah, here comes the chump from the Haywire Might to gain Liam 2 whole life,
Yeah.
which I mean is kind of like gaining 7 life here. Oh,
What is he sacrificing to target?
he's gonna exile his own blade. What does that do? It makes this 1 bigger. I mean, it's gonna get 2 bigger because two blades. But I mean, does that happen anyway? Maybe Liam's just doing skateboard tricks at this point.
Yeah.
He's just spinning stuff for the hell of it. Because it doesn't have yeah. There's I don't see why you wouldn't just let it die. You get the 2 life
I'm
anyway.
not too sure about the line there.
Yeah.
Fleshraker is not a card I'm 100% familiar with, but it seemed to be a conscious thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we have another.
Right. I mean, like I would like to believe that Liam knows what he's doing, considering he went to Worlds.
Yes.
But maybe he's got the download on something that I don't. But now Max is counting how big that Fleshraker is. It is a 6/6, so kind of big. Here comes another Urza Saga.
And this Wastegate Battle Mage would be better against every other deck in every other format currently, but it just does nothing against the 2 creatures. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think Liam has the mana to kick it yet.
Yeah.
Because it's, what, 3 mana or something, base, and then... Well, the kicker cost is weird on it, too, I think. It's, like, it's not symmetrical. It's, like, I think the blue side is just blue, or maybe vice versa.
Yeah, Wastegate Battle Mage.
Okay, yeah.
The 1 green kicker will exile an artifact or an enchantment.
Okay, so it's 2, so...
And then it's 2 to return a...
So yeah, it looks like Liam is casting it. Could kick it, but maybe deciding not to. Just gonna drain. So I mean, he could have bounced the Ragavan, I think. Maybe he couldn't have, given the...
Always moving the blades over, I see.
Yeah, the fact that spawns sack for mana without having to tap is actually like pretty relevant here. Gonna force a chump.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but then Liam sacks the spawn, which grows the Delighted Halfling.
And that might be the last 2 points.
That's 2 damage. And that's it. So, I mean, not a lot of combo, just Liam playing, what set was played with both of you from?
I think these are like the rarest types of games in Modern, where
Yes.
each deck was not successful at doing their gameplay at all.
Yeah, kind of, they both kind of dirled around with like the
Yeah,
worst half of their deck.
Yeah, it's like, well, like obviously I would assume a card like Ragavan gets sided out in this matchup. And I
Yes.
would assume that some copies of Wastegate Battle Mage and Delighted Halfling get sided out in this matchup as well,
Yes.
respectively. Like I could see both of those happening on both sides. So it just seemed like both players got their inefficient draws against each other, and then and then here we are. So
Yeah, 'cause I
Broodscale
mean,
takes the first game.
Yeah, because Max more or less just played a Kavu and then drew like 5 cards off of it and did nothing else. He just like jammed a Kavu.
Well, he fetched every turn, and I think he discarded 3 fetches. So,
So that was just a bad variance, I guess.
yes, that was some definitely bad variance on that.
Wow, unlucky. Well, I can see Liam maybe leaving the Battle Mage if he gets the read that Max is still on Leyline. Because, I mean, the kicker cost in it still does with Leyline, still kills Scion. But,
Yeah, Wastegate. Well, yeah, I could see Wastegate Battle Mage, but I would also not suspect my opponent is on Teamer Ascendancy as well. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, he's got Dismember. The hard part against the Zoo decks, if you figure out that they're on Leyline, is like, you know, it's a deck that like, you know, turns creature sideways, so you'd figure like, oh, I gotta
Right.
bring in removal.
Right.
But like, sometimes you know, if Liam sides in 3 Dismembers here, and if he just goes like, you know, turn 0 Leyline, you know, Scion, you're like, wow, this Dismember looks fucking stupid.
Yeah, the Gemstone Caverns is definitely going to be a side in. I would
Yes.
also side in Thought-Knots here because it has the potential to trade on the field, and I would
Yes.
bring in the Dismember. So those 5 cards stand out to me the most.
Yeah, nothing else jumps out at me.
No, not much else. On the sideboard for Zoo, there are Obsidian Charmaws, Orcish Bowmasters, Pyroclasms, Rust in Pieces, and Wears and Tears. So, in order to lose the Gigantha, to play Obsidian Charmaw, I think is an easy choice in this situation.
Yeah, and this is the thing where it's like, I've struggled with, even with this cyber plan with other decks, where it's like, you put Charm in your deck for like the Eldrazi, the Charm
Yes.
decks, right? That makes sense, clearly.
Yeah.
But for the decks that have like a couple colorless lands, like, is Charma still good enough as like a 3 or 4 mana play?
With Eldrazi Temples and Urza Sagas and Yavimaya Coasts and Wastes, they actually all help reduce the
Yes.
cost. So I would say that it's definitely a consideration.
Yeah, so it depends if Max gets the read in next. I think he only really saw 2 Sagas
Right.
as Liam's colorless sources. So maybe he's thinking like, if Saga's the only colorless land, is that enough to reduce my Charma? Because I mean, Saga's a pretty prime land to be blowing up and
Yes.
getting a 4/4 for a free there. But like, yeah, like if Max is thinking like, is it going to be a 4/4 charm or a 4-mana Charmaw? Like, is that good enough? The other cards in his sideboard don't jump out at me a whole lot. Maybe Pyroclasm is cute.
Yeah.
Wear Tear looks appealing, considering he just died to some weird artifact, and it still tags Saga.
Yeah.
So
Rest in Peace would be the stretch, I would say. Just based on the notion that like it would stop triggers from dying.
It does disrupt the combo actually because the creatures never die, so Blood Chief does not trigger.
Yeah, but it's sort of corner case because sometimes if your opponent just has a few Broodscales and you play the Rest in Peace, or your opponent's like, well, I'm just going to tag you for 4 for like 5 turns because you're down a card, right? So sometimes Rest in Peace wouldn't be acceptable. My leniency in this situation is to side out the bolts, the 2 copies of Lightning Bolt and 4 copies of Ragavan, but we'll see what Max comes up with. Because I'd rather not have low efficient creatures on the ground because you saw how cluttered that board state got. The only way Ragavan's going to connect through the Delighted Halfling and the millions of tokens is if you're lucky. So there's no real point for that. This is a situation where it's like, I want Leyline of the Guild Pact, I want Scion, and I want Flage. Like, I want to clock as quickly and effectively as possible.
Yeah, and this is also the hard part about this last game where both decks kind of just like dicked around like the worst half of their decks is that like Max may not know that Liam even has a combo.
Oh yeah.
Right? He might just be like, okay, here's a cute little colorless, like I saw the synergy with the Scions and the Blade, like pumps your guys, like the guy drains for one, that's cool.
No,
so it could be that he keeps just like an aggressive, uninteractive hand.
Yeah.
Then Liam just goes, whoops.
Yeah.
Like, you're dead. And he's like, oh, fuck. Like, I didn't see this other part of the deck.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out because I have not played the Broodscale combo list myself. I did pick up 4 copies right away when pauper players said, I want this. And I'm like, well, if I want this, I need to buy it now. So I have my 4 copies of Broodscale, but no blood chief.
Blade of the Blood Chiefs,
Yeah,
because Pauper plays Sadistically, which has a lot of the same text as Blade, but it's an enchantment, so it's easier to disrupt in that format. When in this one, like if you kill the Broodscale, Liam's still left with the Blade, and then if he finds another Broodscale, he gets to go off again.
Right. So it looks like Max is on a mulligan here, so his hand wasn't as sufficient as the first game's hand. Here's the other awkward thing about what happened in that game is that like Liam went for like a turn 3 1 ring with like 4 permanents on board. And that was probably noticeable. So I wouldn't have assumed that he would have sided out the Stubborn Denials. But the Tribal Flames also might be slightly ineffective as well. So it's going to be interesting to see like how he sideboarded because Zoo sideboards effectively like burn decks, where it's like if you're taking out more than 5 cards, you're probably doing it right. So there's all that aspect to it, right? And some Zoo lists also have Teferis in the sideboard. This is the first time in a while I haven't seen a Teferi in the sideboard. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
So Max again just fetch line pass, no leyline.
So this has to be end of turn Triumph here, or we'll be punished on life total like we were last game.
Yeah, because it did come down to life totals, and Max did expedite his death by 7 life, which is nothing to sneeze at. Burn players would love you to deal 7 damage to yourself. Every game.
Brought to you by Bolt Wave and Magic Foundations.
Like that. Lava Spike for Commander players. They did it.
Hey man, that card doesn't even target players. It
goes
through Leyline.
Leyline stalks down again.
When I first saw that card, I was just like, well, they really want to push this.
It makes me think about the older formats that had access to like Chain Lightning and stuff, where it's like how many. Or how close are we to these decks just being mono 1 mana 3 damage spells and nothing else?
Well, Chain Lightning's just always been superior in Legacy just because it's like, well, it takes out all these flex slots like Searing Blaze and whatnot, right? Like it does what it needs to do.
All these like budget burn spells that make these bolts with set mechanic that go through standard.
That being said, I think the flex slots and Searing Blazes in the modern burn decks will definitely be replaced by Bolt Wave. But I don't know if it'll be enough against some of these people playing Leyline Scion though, so
that's the thing. I mean, burn still looks very bad. I mean, the premier deck of the format just plays like 4 Soul Sisters like in the main deck, and like a bunch of free Lightning Helixes. So do you really want to be like, here's 3 damage? And they're like, okay, I'm gonna gain 4 life on my turn. Pass to you. You're like, shit. So yeah, we got the old Triumph Shock.
Yeah, so
pretty
that is the best start.
Zoo opener. Yeah. And I expect Scion, Neshoba Brawler.
No, he's a 5/3.
Yeah, this is a card that, like, you know, while it is, you know, while it has trample, being a 5/3, like, it just dies to so much random shit in Modern. It's not my favorite card.
No, it's there to punish the decks that aren't interacting with you, right? And
Yeah.
that is Liam's deck, so it does fit the case here.
Yeah. So here comes Rumble.
Well, I appreciate the good you have in my art code, so.
Yeah.
But hey, we're hitting a Broodscale off that anyway, and we're passing down on
All right, yeah. Now let's see if Max can put the pieces together from last game.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this thing talked about 1/1 counters. What did I see last game? Yeah, 1/1 counters.
Right, like, even when I first saw Broodscale, my eyes glazed over when I saw Evolve. I'm like, oh yeah, that shitty set mechanic from, you know, Guilds of Ravnica. Like, who cares? And then it's the second line of text that really gets you, where it's like, oh, this thing makes dudes.
This thing combos with a ham sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, and then whenever a thing dies, it just gets another counter, and then that counter makes a dude.
Yeah, so the pressure's on. So now that we know that information's been revealed compared to game 1, it's like, oh, I understand what's most likely happening here. We can definitely see that Liam also didn't choose to play the Broodscale, which he could have this turn, right? So there's a choice in saving the resource for that Scion. So.
Yeah, and that is the strength of Rumble. Really, is the, like, you know, secret ramp package that it
temporary
gives
ramp
you.
and growth with the tutor on the upside. Yeah.
Right, where if you only need 1 more turn to win, like, you don't care if your ramp and growth lasts you 4 more turns. You just got to leave it 1 more turn to win, which is a design space that Wizards recognized, I think, when they printed Deadly Dispute into Pauper. It's like, wow, yeah, like, you know, we've had Village Rites for forever. Deadly Dispute at face value looks like a worse Village Rites because it just, like, you know, sacks is a thing, draw 2 cards. But the treasure is really relevant, and here, like, the Scion is basically a treasure. But it lets you dig, right? You get, like, a free, like, ponder attached to your, like, you know, quote, you know, air quotes, 2 mana cantrip.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been a big fan of, like, the fake 2 mana cantrips that are actually 1 mana when you get your value back out of it.
Well, they're too scared of the 1 mana cantrips, but you know, like, how long did it take them to take Preordain off? And it still hasn't really done much to the format. It's like,
no, it's certainly very good, and it makes all those years of playing Opt make you feel really stupid.
Same with Serum Visions. I could not stand
Serum
that card.
Visions.
I played Sleight of Hand in my Phoenix list before I played my 4th copy of Serum Visions. Like,
yeah, I mean, Sleight of Hand's got to be better than Serum Visions, like, a majority of the time.
Yeah, but the world did not think so. I would rather choose my top 2 draws than randomly draw my 1 top card.
Yeah, I mean, there's Team Ascendancy.
Or, here we go. Now
Liam's reading.
Yeah, the lecture's on the other side.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't know what your card does, but do you know what my card does?
Liam's like, sick. That's awesome. Love that for you. Now I'd love to see just Blade.
It's like, oh, that's a $10 commander card. That's in my commander deck.
This is in my insert shitty, like, 7-drop commander deck.
You don't even have to pay 7 mana for 4 power anymore.
No.
No.
And
Blade
there it is,
out,
just like I said. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's a cool card. Anyway,
tap out,
kill you.
Kill you. Yes.
Yeah.
And then the combo, and then
I love this bit whenever a combo player goes off, where they do the loop slowly, like once or twice. I'm like, okay, like, you've seen me do this, you know, repeated. Now 1 billion times.
Now he's gonna play 3, and then he's gonna
now
sack
Flesh Raker, and then pew, 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 pew. Yeah, load up the gun.
That's game, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Yeah, also the, like, combo player shrug, you're dead.
Yeah.
Extend hand.
Yeah. Do you like my pauper deck?
Straight up, it's like,